I'll bet you this is your first video with a boat prop in it.
Boat prop and the Vogelzang. That's a beast of a...
You can buy that kit. It has the doors, the legs,
Oh.
You just take a 55-gallon drum, cut the door in, and
Oh, duh, yeah.
then put the stack. That top one's just the blower.
Oh, now I know what to do with my used 55-gallon oil drums. One of those in the shop.
Sure you take it outside and burn the oil off, 'cause it's pretty heavy.
Now tell us some lies, Rex.
So, getting back to it, my first experience, we had a construction outfit back in the, Dad had it, and you know, I came out of the Navy and went to work for him, and we bought this old Pete. It's 359 with the sleeper and big engine in it. Really cool. I mean, there's all kinds of stories about that. There's a reason why he put the dump bed on it and took the sleeper off. So.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we had this job up in Whitehall, Montana, and I'd never been. I drove all around, you know, up in the mountains and all of our job sites and everything, but I'd never been. Didn't know shit about log books or... Well, anyway, I load up a load of our forms and take off. We had a 48-foot flat and go up. The scale at Lima was closed when I went through. Well, coming back, he pulled me in, asked to see my logbook. And I'm like, logbook?
What's a logbook?
So
I'm not
I
holding logs.
had about a 2-hour education right there and avoided jail. Anyway, I learned about logbooks on that trip.
Well, you gotta learn.
Yeah.
You gotta learn some way on that.
Yeah, the story behind Dad putting a dump bed on that old Pete, though, is we had a job up in Stanley, Idaho, and we'd gone up there, and they have this thing called the Stanley Stomp.
Stanley Stomp.
Yeah.
All right, sounds like a shindig of some.
So all the fat
some
girls
form.
from the mountains are all down there dancing and everything, and we're all single. My good friend, we were up there working. We decided to bobtail Pete into town.
All right.
It had a sleeper on it.
Good thinking.
Yeah, and it worked out real good. Took some fat girls ice skating out on the deal, and but Dad got some calls from the local magistrate, Custer County Sheriff, which we knew him pretty much by first name back then, and said we might have got a couple of gals in trouble, and asked exactly what the, and I went off on another job, and when I got back to town, the old Pete had a dump bed on it.
That
More
sleeper,
sleeper.
sleeper became a doghouse out in somebody's yard.
It was down at Idaho Equipment, I think. I don't know, but it was interesting, and we had a good time back in the day.
What do you do now? You just
Right now,
started a new job?
Well, no, I worked for Dave for a year, and it was a very good year, and I still, if I ain't done anything, you need some help, I'd gladly jump in, but I got sucked back in. I was trying to get out of the construction world.
Do you do vertical construction, I think Dave said?
Most of the work I've been involved in has been heavy industrial.
Okay.
And that's anywhere from building gold mines to phos plants over in Soda Springs. Basically anything for money. I don't particularly like the commercial work, building office buildings and shit like that. I can do it, but anyway, without rambling on, I was going to buy a truck, trailer, and stay busy around here, and I've been thinking about it for 3 years or more. I did go over the road with a couple of local outfits for a while. And had an issue with my son not wanting to graduate from high school, so I made him my special project for a year.
Okay. Similar kind of thing. Being gone wasn't conducive to a.
Well, you'd think a 17-year-old boy would just be able to get up and make it to school.
But apparently, you need to be there every day just to make sure that happened.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
That can be. That's
But
pretty
he's
typical.
doing good. He's in the Navy now. Got another year to go, and then he learned to trade. And
You spent some time in the Navy.
I did.
How many years?
4 years.
What years were those?
I went in '83 and beginning of '83 and got out at the end of '86.
Okay. What did you? What boat? Ship.
Well,
Boat. Yacht. What are you
my
supposed to call them? Vessel. What vessel?
There's an Australian story in here.
All right.
Which one?
When your dad was
When
on.
we met Dad. So I was in the special weapons program,
Okay.
and the first gig that they sent me to was up in Adak, Alaska. And for those that don't know, Adak is closer to Russia than it is to Anchorage.
Okay.
It's way out on the Aleutian
Yep.
Islands. And spent 15 months there. Then I went to the USS Carl Vinson. And what Dave was talking about is I met it out when they were in the Indian Ocean. I had to fly from Treasure Island from San Francisco. Went to Okinawa and then to the Philippines and then to Diego Garcia, and we met the ship. And this is all like in a 3-week. Took 3 weeks to get out to the ship.
Okay.
And you fly in on the cod, which is another experience. But anyway, finished that Westpac up. It's a 9-month deployment out in the Indian Ocean. And come back to San Francisco. It was out of Alameda as the ship was. And then we were there for 6 months and 7 months. And then we take off on our second full Westpac. And in that Westpac, we set the record for being the most continuous days, 24/7 flight ops, 107 days. We go by beer days. Every 45 days you get 2 beers. Anyway, we're winding down and we got word that we're coming off of Westpac and we're going to Perth.
Okay.
And I actually graduated from high school, not in Perth, but in Australia. So I knew my way around a little bit, knew the Aussie people, and me and my shipmates were very excited about the opportunity to
Get on land.
go to
and-
Perth and
yeah.
meet all the Aussie girls. And our division was responsible for setting up the visitor control booth.
Okay.
And I was the petty officer in charge of setting up the visitor control booth, which meant we had to anchor offshore and take a barge into town. So we had to crane the booth on. It's just a little old booth. But I was the first one off the ship. Well, we'd heard stories from the old people, and they're true. There was a board. There's a big terminal where you go in, and this board has pictures and phone numbers of all these girls that want to meet a Yankee sailor.
Okay. All right.
I'm the first one. There's like 4 of us that were the advanced party, and we're the first ones there. excellent duty. And we're sitting there, we got the booth set up, nobody was happening. We're sitting there looking at the board, you know, looking at the pictures and talking about it, and there's a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around, it's my old man. He was working for Morrison Knudsen at the time, and they were bidding a big project over there.
Right.
And him
You
and
didn't know
his
he was
team,
there?
I had no clue. No clue whatsoever. And my first thought was, how is this going to work? With the old man in town. And
Yeah.
me wanting to, well,
Wanting to go catting around town?
he was only there for 2 days. We met at the inn. I took all of his guys out. A lot of those old boys had been with MK for not a lot. There was only, I think there were 6 guys with him. 3 of them had been on Wake Island when the Japs took it over.
Okay.
They had been with MK for that long.
Right.
And I mean, they were, and some of them, there was one guy that was a CB. Anyway, they had a big connection with the Navy and they wanted to go on the, so I took them on the full boat tour. And when we got done, Dad was checking out and we were getting ready to hit the road, and he gave me the key to, and I'm not, this is at the Marriott in downtown Perth. He had like a 2-bedroom suite.
Mm-hmm.
MK paid for 7 squids. We had, or 7 days of that room.
Well, that's handy.
We had a blast. I mean, we didn't tear nothing up. We were responsible, but
Yep.
that's true story.
A lot of fun was had.
And, I don't know, the statute of limitations run out on that because MK ain't no business.
That's
anymore.
right. You're safe now.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's a little bit of the background.
Gotcha.
But anyway, I work for Dave, and I'm going to go do a 2-year project. I just signed on to go help build a National Guard Armory Center.
All right.
A big tilt-up type job. It'll probably be, keep saying it, that it'll be the last one I ever do. But,
What year were you born?
63.
63. Okay. How did you meet Dave? Was it through the forum or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've run in the same circles for years and never ran into each other. He worked for Idaho Construction, and I knew a bunch of guys there. And, I mean, it just, he's worked up in the mountains, and I've worked up in the mountains, and I don't know, how far was your house from my house in Twin?
Oh, probably 4 miles or so.
4 or 5
Yeah.
miles. Never knew each other. Well, they were gone. They were over here when we were in Twin Falls, but
Yep.
But yeah, it was through the forum when we.
yeah.
Kind of connected. It's,
Well, I just saw the Oxbow. Yeah. I saw the pictures of the Yankee Fork up there on that job, and we'd been up there.
I thought that looks familiar.
Kind of, we visited a little bit, and then we ended up, after the kids got out, my wife, well, before the kids got out, I was off wanting to go trucking, and she took a job over here at Pocatello at ISU, and we were like maintaining 2 places, and the place we had in Twin was 20 acres with a big house, and I woke up one morning, the kids were gone, and the old lady was over here, and I'm by myself with the dogs and cats and horses, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yep.
I'm not doing this anymore, so
consolidate.
we put it on the market, and I started looking for stuff to do, and I actually When I moved over here, I actually went to work for another contractor that didn't turn out. I mean, it was all right, but it didn't. His ideas and my ideas weren't the same, so I kind of backed out of it and was going to buy a truck, and Dave needed some help, so I went and ran a track truck for a year.
And we're still talking. And we're still talking.
Oh yeah.
And what are we doing when we're not constructing or excavating or trucking around here?
Golf.
Golf.
Well, that's the other thing is that I used to be into golf pretty big and hadn't swung the club for 8 years, and he kind of challenged me to a game.
I don't recall it quite like that.
I do, 'cause I got out there and couldn't hit the ball, make it to the ladies' tee the first year.
Still beat me.
I don't think I did that first. Dave had a bad year last year, so this year will probably be a little bit different.
Any final truck driver lies or stories we want to tell while we're here?
I don't think you got enough film.
Yeah.
I have a couple. A good friend, Denton, who actually I hadn't spoke to for years. He's in northern Nebraska somewhere now, Atkinson, I think. And I just out of a whim last fall called him and check on see how he was doing. I'm not sure how old he's in his 80s now, I think. And we had a great conversation. Toward the end of it, he says, "Yeah, believe it, I'm on hospice care." So I haven't checked in with him to see how he's doing. But anyway, we had great fun. We were both leased to the same company, this same small company where I first leased onto that had the IBP contract, and we'd haul a lot of swinging meat from Cuna up to Wallula, and then some would haul box meat back to the Midwest, and then you get back there, haul pork back to the West, haul swinging meat to LA. Occasionally got swinging meat out of LA back to Wallula. But anyway, the group of us were kind of running in this triangle all the time, and so you knew where everybody was, and you were always telling stories on everybody, and then you got a chance to run together quite a bit. Well, the roads down through Nevada that Rex knows well. When you leave Ely, that's Highway 93, but then there's a kind of a shortcut that saves a whole lot of up and down in miles. You take Highway 6 and then 318, and it brings you back out on 93 north of Vegas.
Okay.
Well, there's 100 miles in there that there's nothing but ranch roads that turn off. Pretty wide open country, but there are a few corners and hills and knobs and whatnot. Well, running with old Denton, he always liked to run first. And so he'd pass some cars and be going on, and then, so is it clear? Can I go? Can I go? Yeah, you can go. Give it all you got, and sometimes it was closer than what I thought, but you had to kind of get a head start, and so we had a lot of fun that way. But the one story about Denton was telling me there was a corner and there was sort of a bluff, and you could see the highway, about a half mile away before it got to that bluff.
Yep.
And okay, I got a car I want to pass or another truck. So you count the cars over there, and then as soon as, okay, 1, 2, 3, now I
come
can
by.
go. Well,
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, there's another car. He pulls back in. Anyway, we got tons of experiences like that. We were pretty safe though. And I was young then, but the young kids, so this is something that probably never changes. All the old farts like us always complain about the young kids. The young kids then did not, and I was one of them, but just did not have the work ethic that the old farts did.
Okay.
The old, and I think this is probably something that goes on generation after
generation.
The old guys are pretty well spent and can't do anything, so they complain about the young guys. That's probably about what's, even though the young guys can do twice as much as they can, but
Right.
they won't admit it. Any proud older guy won't admit it. That's not far from truth, is it?
It's, I don't ever talk about young guys or anything.
Cool.
No, my son-in-law,
Oh,
he's
cool. Bravo. See her
35
on that
years
one.
old and got a lot of fire in his belly, and he's a runner too. So
Yep.
he'll go out and shoot 4 horses, and then jump in a truck and go haul 2 loads, make 2 loads of hay. But
Yeah, still meet them from time to time. You know, ones with a lot of get up and go that are, you know, in the late 20s and early 30s. And I think you're right. You're right on that one. It seems to be a generational thing where they.
well, Trevor, his boy, is. I mean, he's got a lot of fire in his belly, and he's got
A lot of
he can
irons in the
back it
fire
up.
too.
He can back it up.
You know,
So
No,
that's how I judge them. I don't necessarily go by age. There's just more of them that are dipshits that I.
yeah, it was funny.
If they're good and you can tease them, well, then that's the way I.
judge them.
And then-
Well, and I try not to judge, but I do.
And Rex has a special relationship with one of our employees, Jeremy.
So Jeremy, in a long reach, this long reach excavator,
Excavator. Yep.
he could reach out there 60 feet and pick a hard-boiled egg up off the ground. I mean, he's.
Pretty good.
And Jeremy likes to drink beer,
Okay.
and a lot of beer. And when you're in camp with Jeremy, he won't let you go to bed until all the beer's gone.
Right.
You know, I'm older and that hurts me. You know? And, anyway, we stayed in camp all summer, this last summer up there, and had an absolute blast. One of the funnest summers I've had.
Take a half pellet of beer in with you.
I mean, that would get us through. I mean, Jeremy can do a 30-pack a night.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not exaggerating.
You can put them away.
He's a big boy too.
So camp would be where you take all the equipment out to a job and stay out there. What do you
This
stay in?
specific one, the landowner allowed us to camp on their property, but their property is,
Well,
I don't know.
2 landowners,
Well, yeah.
because we went to
Yeah, then we
Stevens
moved
and
over
then
to
we
the other
went
one.
down the road a little ways, but
But anyway, they had a sort of secluded place that we could go and we wouldn't bother them, so we had 5 trailers there altogether.
mhm.
And so that was camp, so we just stay there rather than going to motels or.
So you take a camper out there,
Yep,
or okay?
camp trailer, yeah.
Yep.
And well, everybody had their own, and then so in the evenings, well,
Sit
Rex
around
bought
the
this.
Yep.
We couldn't have fires, so
So Jeremy and Rex, especially, would sit by this and tell lies until.
have you guys ever heard of Gene Tracy?
I've heard of them.
I got introduced again to Gene Tracy's albums this year.
Okay.
He's a dandy. So,
Well, we had a lot of fun out there.
well, that's what living in this place. This place has always been a hard place to make a living in.
Yeah, I must
You
say
kind
I
of got
have.
to know how to do a lot of things
Yep.
to survive. It's kind of getting away from that, but I mean, back in the old days, if you couldn't handle a horse, you know, maybe I never was much of a team man. I couldn't handle a team horse. If you didn't know how to drive a truck, if you didn't know at least the fundamentals of operating equipment, you
wouldn't.
couldn't live here because it was logging and mining,
Farming, ranching.
farming. That's about all it was. And if it's gotten a lot away, that's what some of the deal is with younger guys. Is, and you don't make any money here, not like other places. But the lifestyle is, if you like getting out and getting away from people, and
This is the place to be.
and that hadn't changed mine. I mean, I bitch about it like everything, but there's still a lot of places with it. I could take you 45 minutes from here, and we could go into a place that we wouldn't see nobody all day long. So.
So that's one of the things for people that aren't aware. Idaho has more public land than any other state in the lower 48, I believe. I think Alaska's the only state that has more.
Okay.
So the whole center part of Idaho, with the exception of the margin on the west side, is wilderness area. And that's a big chunk of it. But
South is.
we're surrounded by Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management ground. I know my wife, when she was working, she spent 13 months on Hurricane Katrina cleanup, and she would talk to people there, and we were going into a hunting camp, and she was trying to get home to get in on that. People said, "Oh, you guys own a hunting camp?" And she's, "Well, you don't own a hunting camp. You just set up a hunting camp. You know, it's public land." Well, there's obviously a lot of places in the country that don't have that option.
Right.
So they have to buy leases or hunting leases, and that's pretty foreign to us here. And so that's part of the difference in the Intermountain West. Anyway,
Did 16 months. I moved to San Antonio, Texas. We went down and on a job that kind of didn't pan out, but I mean, we had a good time. I really liked the wade fishing down there, getting out in that intercoastal and just wading. You could get out there and not see another boat and
Right.
catch fish. But I had this guy that wanted to take me hunting, and I hunted all my life. So, well, the first time it was he wanted to go dove hunting. We go out in this guy's 2-acre lot with 50 other guys and sit on a frickin' 5-gallon drum, and here come the doves. And they're like ducking, and I'm like, I'm done. So then we went deer hunting. He had this guy out there by Halodi's somewhere that had a lease that you had to pay to go hunt.
Right.
Which, I mean, it was a couple $100, and I was making pretty good money. So I chipped in my money, and we go down there, and the guy has a bunkhouse and everything. I'm thinking, well, shit, this is, and the country's rougher than a cob down there. It's overgrown with cactus and that mesquite thicket, and I'm looking at this thinking, how in the hell am I going to get through this without getting tore up? I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous about this. And all I had was my deer rifle from my 270 with the scope, and I'm like, there ain't no goddamn way that I'm going to be able to see through this shit to shoot something. Anyway, we get all settled. He shows up in his side-by-side, and come on, let's go. So we go out, and he has a stand that has a couch, and you guys want a drink? I'm like, nah, maybe after we get done. I said, I don't want to be half pie-eyed when I walk through all that.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't gonna walk through that. I'm like, well, just what the hell? And he goes, have a drink, relax, get ready. And we do. And he goes, are you guys ready? He goes, yeah. Jerry's the guy I was with. And he hits this button, and this corn feeder comes off, and these frickin' deer come in like mice.
No.
He goes, all right, you shoot that one. I'm looking down there at this deer that's about the size of a Great Dane.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
This is not hunting.
You keep the $200. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah.
really no play. You can hunt just as hard as you want, or like me and the boy, we got into them this year. We killed 2 cows that weren't that hard to do. I could get right to them and get them out. But
Yep.
there's guys that'll horseback in 26 miles and go for 2 weeks, or some of them go the whole hunting season. Down there where Dave was working on that ranch in Nevada, that Jarbidge country there, one of my friends is an outfitter in there, and there's places down there that white men haven't been, probably, because it's rough. But anyway.
This has got to be a bit of a departure from the typical
Yeah,
TTR
this
interview.
isn't
Hey, why
quite
not?
like the truck driving.
I think we bored enough people for long enough now. Yeah. I'll have to thank you both for your hospitality while I've been in town, and appreciate you sitting down and sharing a few stories and whatnot. Give people on TTR a face to the name at least, and
Well, you can edit out the bullshit parts.
Cut her down to 2 minutes.